What's going on, everybody? It's Mike Sweetman bringing you guys my first YouTube video. Today's video, we're going to talk about the 3 hitting techniques that top 50 players use. Let's So the big question I get from the show community is, Mike, how do you hit the ball so well? What is your approach? How do you have great pitch recognition when it comes to certain counts and stuff? And that's a good question. And my answer is to you is that through research and development, I've actually learned from the top 50 players themselves on techniques that I have noticed in the show that could benefit you. The reason why these 3 techniques are so beneficial is because they have 3 different approaches for 3 different style of hitting that you could be. Some guys can actually hit better pitches away, or some guys can hit better pitches low or high, or some guys just like to keep their PCI in the middle and just react. These 3 techniques is something that can benefit you into becoming a better player in the show and can really elevate your game. So with that being said, the first technique is center PCI. Now, center PCI is a technique that you would see probably Pitching Rebel, McGunsky, your friend Kyle, and many more that like to use this technique. Now, this technique is basically where you place your PCI in the middle of the zone and just basically react. Now, some guys like to just basically maybe wiggle or have a little tempo with their PCI just to get them to be more focused and to have better pitch recognition. But I highly recommend you guys use this technique only for maybe All-Star and Hall of Fame if you're just a beginner. The reason why for this is that it takes a lot of skill and discipline to have the good PCI placement on the pitch that you want to hit and get a great outcome out of it. Now, if you see here, I'm very patient at the plate when it comes to this, and this is actually in my Battle Royale run that I had actually earlier today. And if you notice that any of my pitches, I am 0-1, I am 0-2, or 2-0, or 3-0, but I really try to focus on having an approach where I let the ball come to me. The reason why I say I let the ball come to me is because when I allow myself to be very patient at the plate, it seems like it's easier for the pitcher to come at me with the pitches that I want to hunt for and hit well. When I'm more of like a free swinger, I just feel like I'm missing everything. And not only that, I'm swinging at bad pitches, I'm popping up, I'm hitting ground balls, and just overall, it just feels like I'm not hitting the ball well. And I just feel, a little upset about it. But when you watch like Pitching Rebel or McGunsky, how they use this technique in Legend, it is absolutely phenomenal. And it takes a lot of skill. But this is basically, it takes a lot of skill, even though it's basically just an ordinary approach. I mean, not many guys really use this approach. I see a lot of guys, they have different approaches, but this approach for Battle Royale for me has always been money. And it's something that I like to use when it comes to trying to go 12-0 on Battle Royale. But when it comes to like ranked seasons and, event gameplay, I mean, you won't see me using this approach at all, but you have some guys that are really talented and really elite that do. And that takes a lot of skill and a lot of effort for them to basically stick to this approach and absolutely just crushing home runs and getting like a high batting average and overall great success in the long term. Now, the counts that you can actually use this technique in, I highly recommend if you guys were maybe ahead in the count, maybe like 1-1, 2-1, 3-1, 1-0, 2-0, 3-0. Those are the kind of counts I would probably recommend that this approach would be utilized in the show. I mean, other than that, you wouldn't see me using this approach, with a 2-2 count or 1-2, even a 3-2 even. But it's something that you can actually practice on in practice mode for sure, and utilize it to your own benefit when it comes to, playing in BR, events, ranked seasons, even moments. I highly recommend you guys even use this technique in moments. It's actually it's an easy approach. It's not complicated, and it's overall just a basic approach to have. Now, the approach I would probably use for this when it comes to, which hand pitcher and which hand batter to use it for, I highly recommend both hands being opposite. And the reason why for that is you start noticing a lot more mistakes happen with pitchers that throw it right down Main Street and literally right down the middle. And it's a lot easier for you to capitalize those hits and just wait for the pitch you want and just smoke it. When it comes to the same side pitching and hitting, it's very difficult and very rare for the pitcher to leave it down the middle for you to smoke it on. Most likely he's going to leave it probably in the inside or even outside or even high or low. So it's going to be very difficult for you to really time that pitch and utilize it to your full potential and getting those runs in to beat that opponent that you have a big time struggle with. Now, the next technique I would like to say is like basically the top and bottom hitters. And now what I mean by that is basically you have hitters that really place their PCI either below or high in the zone. And the reason why they say this is because some of these hitters believe or have this approach like thinking that most of the opponents that they're going to face are going to paint that pitch maybe low and outside or low and inside or basically low in general to make you really fish for it. So some guys just like to place their PCI low and keep it low to react better to maybe an off speed or a slider or a backdoor slider or a curveball away or even a cutter going away. So most of these guys use this. I mean, the guys that you probably see using this, I mean, I've seen Sparky Gaiman use it. I've seen even Tulo kind of use it every now and then. But, this approach takes massive skill and massive reaction. But when you actually utilize it and actually get your timing down, honestly, I tried this on BR today, and this approach wasn't bad. I actually liked it, especially when it came down to like really, really guessing or really, well, I will say guessing that, the guy would probably throw you a low curveball or low slider or even changeup. I really found out that I actually had more probability of hitting the ball either out or getting a hit out of it. So it was actually really beneficial. I would say the difficulty you should use for this technique is actually between, maybe All-Star, Hall of Fame, and even Legend. I think Legend you can definitely get, good beneficial, outcomes out of this technique for sure, especially because that's all the approaches you probably basically see in that difficulty in Legend when you face top 50 players. You'll probably see me using this technique probably versus, opposite hand pitcher and an opposite bat hitter. The reason why I probably use this technique more often is because I notice that pitchers really sometimes miss their pitches down the middle, but not only down the middle, but a little up or even down. So it's a lot easier for me to kind of really pull down on the PCI or place my PCI down or even place my PCI up, which it's already there, to really hit the ball and smoke the ball. And it's really been very consistent for me throughout my career playing this game, and I highly recommend you try it too. Because let's be honest, the opponent that we're going to face, I mean, no one's a perfect pitcher. Let's be honest with ourselves. No one's a perfect pitcher in this game. They're going to make a mistake, and you got to capitalize, and the best way you can do it is by using this technique to your full potential on hitting that pitch that he messes up out of the park for sure. Just how I see, I used, this is actually Gary Sanchez hitting a 3-run bomb for me in my BR today. The guy missed a slider, down the middle, and I was able to hit it out in left center. Then again, I am at Coors Field, but hey, man, I mean, the way I see it, if this approach makes you become a consistent hitter, I don't see anything wrong. So overall, this technique is actually really beneficial, especially when you can use it in events, you can use it in BR runs, or even ranked seasons, for instance. I've seen many guys that are top 50 players, today that still use this technique and utilize it really well. But this technique basically forces you to really look for off speed or look for something low in the zone or even high in the zone when it comes to fastball or maybe off speed that you can see up in the zone too. But this technique is really forcing you to just stick towards the middle because that's where you're either going to pull up your PCI or you're going to pull down your PCI. So this is a technique that you guys can use if you guys are good center, up and down kind of swingers. Okay, now when it comes to facing a pitch outside or even inside, you might even struggle and you might even have a couple miscues here and there when it comes to hitting a pitch from the inside half or even an outside half. So I highly recommend you guys practice this technique on your own, especially in practice mode, or even, play a buddy and try this technique out. So if you guys are liking the content so far, please hit that subscribe and bell notification button so that you guys will be notified for my future video posts that I will be doing. And I also recommend you guys follow my Twitch channel. The reason why for this, I stream 5 times a week, but I'm there to really just show good gameplay and to really help the viewers like yourselves with questions that you guys have for me. So if you guys have any questions on either community market, moments, or even, ranked season, strategies or event strategies, I'm there to help you guys. But with that being said, let's get to our final technique. So the final technique we have now is actually called the Larry approach. And if you guys don't know what Larry means for hitters, it's actually look away, react in. And this is something that I utilize really well, and so does Sebrev and even Sam Beer from the Mob. So if you ever see guys using a good approach when it comes to maybe Legend or Hall of Fame, you're going to notice that these guys are going to place their PCI middle in. And the reason why they do that or do so is that they simply have better reaction or better timing when it comes to maybe if they throw maybe a low and in slider or high and in slider. It's a lot easier for you to kind of react better just by placing either low or high. So actually it then becomes a top-bottom, kind of hitter, even though it's not. So when I utilize this to my full potential when it comes to the Larry approach, I really try to focus on looking for a fastball, but adjusting to the off speed when it comes to maybe if I'm facing a right-handed pitcher with my right-handed batter. You're going to notice with me, I'm going to basically have, an approach where I'm going to look for maybe that fastball inside, but if he throws like a slider away, I'm going to try to sit on it and maybe take it the other way. That's where, the look away, react in approach comes in. So the counts you're probably going to see guys using this technique in, it's going to be either, being ahead of the count or being behind or even neutral counts. I think I see more success of guys using this technique in more neutral and ahead counts. The reason why is that you're going to see a lot of guys, a lot of pitchers that if they're behind in the count, they're going to try to throw the fastball to maybe get you jammed or something. So you're going to see a lot of pitches, high and in or even, maybe high and away, maybe down the middle. So it's a lot easier for this approach to kind of make an adjustment to those pitches that are thrown to you, because this technique can be very hard to accomplish. And the reason why I say this, when I first tried this technique, I struggled a lot. I actually got a lot of jam hits, a lot of strikeouts, because I really try to focus on one area. And I noticed with guys that put their PCI top and inside, you're really just, limiting yourself for pitches that you could hit outside of just hitting a fastball or a slider up and in. So guys, that's the video for today. We learned the 3 hitting techniques that top 50 players use in their gameplay when it comes down to events, BR runs, or even ranked seasons. This is the techniques that you'll see that these guys will use to be more consistent at hitting. So if you guys enjoyed the video, I highly recommend you guys hit that like button and comment on the comments below. Let me know how the video was, what did you like about it, what you didn't like about it, and really telling me what videos I should do in the future. With that being said, I'm signing off from my first YouTube video, wishing you guys to keep dotting and mashing in the show, and you guys will catch me in my next video. See you guys then.